Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is September 9th, 2024. We welcome you to the September 9th meeting of the Milford Board of Aldermen. Please join me as we salute our flag. Madam Secretary, will you please take the roll?
Alderman Archiola.
Present.
Alderman Beatty.
Present.
Alderman Bevan.
Here.
Alderman Casey.
Here.
Alderman Federico.
Here.
Alderman Fowler.
Here.
Alderman Healy.
Here.
Alderman Jenkins. Here. Alderman Marlowe.
Here.
Alderman Morenin.
Here.
Alderman Pacelli.
Here.
Alderman Smith.
Here.
Alderman Vitro.
Here.
Alderman Vitale. Alderman Willis.
Alderman Willis would like to be excused, Madam Secretary.
Thank you. 14 are present.
14 present. We do have a quorum. Thank you. The next portion of the meeting is devoted to public comment. Statements are strictly limited to the legislative function of the Board of Aldermen. No, right after this. Please use every effort to limit public speaking to the permissible business of the Board of Aldermen. I'm going to have the mayor have his presentation first. Mr. Mayor, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. Members of the board, good evening. Good evening. It's great to be back at City Hall. This is an exciting time. Milford is blessed with an exceptional girls softball program here in our city. Big round of applause. If not, one of the best programs in the state. So this continues on and on. Season after season, you girls have worked very hard, and we appreciate all the hard work. I want to thank the coaches for volunteering their time to coach these girls. The parents, you all must be proud. This is a very proud moment for all of us, especially me, here at City Hall, watching the success of the girls and following the game after game. It's truly exciting. So with that, it's my honor to present a proclamation to the girls 12U All-Stars. The Milford Little League Softball 12U All-Stars won the 2024 state tournament and gave it their all for the third year at the New England Regional Championships. The 12U girls softball played their hearts out, defeating Madison 3-1 in the last game of the state tournament that Milford hosted. The girls fought. They fought back a 12 strikeout performance by Madison, never letting that change their winning attitude. And that speaks volumes. To be down in a game, to stay composed, to keep fighting, keep competing, to be focused. So I'm proud of you for that. That's a big deal. To even reach the state tournament, the girls defeated Fairfield in 2 jaw-clenching games and defeated Wilton 10-0 in sectionals. Milford played for a 6-1 All-Star record through both sectional and state competition. And manager Joe, assistant coaches Brock and Sean, and teammates Bryn, Sophia, Maya Jane, Mariana, Grace, Dylan, Lillian, Tegan, Paige, Nia, Kendall, and Ella built a successful team through consistently working hard. Their dedication and enthusiasm and played championship softball as evidence to their strengths, coaching expertise, and the desire to win. Now, therefore, I, Anthony S. Giannatasio, the mayor of the city of Milford, Connecticut, by virtue of the authority vested in me and behalf of all our citizens, do hereby proclaim Monday, September 9th, today, 2024, as Milford Little League Girls Softball Team Day. This is a great accomplishment, and you girls will share these memories moving on in your lives, and when you see each other, you'll always remember this time, this moment, and I'm happy to share this moment with you, and I know your parents are and your coaches. We're so very proud, and I want to extend the expression of pride in your accomplishments and our appreciation for the fine manner in which you have represented our community. So please, girls, please come up and accept a proclamation for each and every one of you, and we could take a picture, and then we'll do a picture outside. We could do a little recess. Come on up. Don't be shy. Come on up. A big round of applause. Congratulations. How about those uniforms? I like the jerseys. I love the colors. There was also some highlights, I believe, on ESPN, if I'm not mistaken, on some of the plays of the week. So a big another round of applause for our girls. And the coaches, I don't know if the coaches want to come up and say a few words. You're more than welcome to do that. But once again, a big thanks. That's okay? All right. All right. Well, we appreciate what you do for our city, for our community, and for girls softball. Job well done. Why don't we have the coaches come up, and I'll give you a copy of the proclamation as well. It's well deserved. Coach, thank you very much. Pleasure. Pleasure. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the team, right here. Thank you so much, and thanks to the parents that came out. Thank you. I'll be outside. I'll take a picture. All right?
We're going to take a 10-minute recess to make sure that everybody outside first
56 Wheelbar Avenue in Milford, Connecticut. And this is,
Dan Gurman, 114 Beach Ave, Milford.
the reason for the presentation tonight is to ask that the city, or maybe through the mayor, put together a committee to talk about founding a Milford Museum. We know there's a Milford Historic Society that deals mostly with colonial. There's been a lot going on in Milford in the past 385 years. Everything from Bic pen being made here, Schick pen being made here. Not many people know this, but the lobster roll was first invented in Milford, Connecticut at Perry's Restaurant. No one really knows this stuff, and it's not kind of hallmarked anywhere in town. I have suggestions and ideas of where would be a good location, but I think that would be best left for a committee. Hopefully the mayor can put one together with the help of the aldermen. There is so much in this town. Again, 385 years, we've got a lot of history. One such notable person, and you're going to think this is a little odd, but Milford is known for Blue Point oysters. J.P. Morgan in Manhattan, everybody know who J.P. Morgan was, he was a big guy, insisted on Milford Blue Point oysters in Manhattan. Long Island duck was a big thing in Manhattan many, many years ago, of which Milford's duck hunting was by far the best on the Long Island Sound. A gentleman by the name of Harry Pember would carve wood ducks down at the old oyster landing off Gulf Street. And his carvings are world-renowned. They're hard to find. They're very sought after. And I wanted to hand this out to you, a little bit of story about Harry Pember. And I just bring this up as one person among many in the city and events that needs to be immortalized in the city museum. Harry Pember, his ducks are hard to find, and I've been hunting them for 20 years. I actually have two examples of this I'd like to present to the mayor tonight. You can put them in your office as motivation to put a committee together. You can pass around and kind of look at them a little bit too. They're quite detailed and quite original. And again, they're very sought after, but it's nice to know that a native of Milford has such art and is known for such skill worldwide. And I think we should certainly put them in a place of honor in the city, along with Perry's Lobsters. That's my other quest. I'm looking for anything from Perry's Restaurant, napkins, coasters, anything to put in a wall so we can remember these people who made Milford what it is today. Our community is like a quilt, and every year there's a new patch, a new piece put into the quilt. And hopefully Harry Pember and Perry's Lobster Rolls, among a few, will be a part of that quilt. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring up a person in Milford who many of us know. Her name is Doris Gagnon. She defied the state of Connecticut, stayed in her home on East Broadway to the point where she lived in a trailer, raised her own chickens, and they still couldn't get her out of there. I think eventually there was an end at some point, but she was one of the bravest people I know. Some people would differ with my comments, and there is nothing to immortalize that bravery. I get a little choked up when I think about that. That bravery of that woman to live by herself in a trailer on the beach in every hurricane and natural disaster you can imagine, and she stayed there. That's good old-fashioned stick-to-itiveness. That's a good New Englander and a good Milfordite, and they need to be immortalized. And one way you can do that this committee we're going to have can talk about it, is naming part of the boardwalk for Doris Gagnon. Maybe not the whole thing, but we have a beautiful boardwalk went right past her house. And so I think we'd be all remiss if we didn't talk about Doris at some point during this conversation of our history. And I'm going to end with letting Dan speak for 2 seconds, but I do want to say, in addition to a Milford Museum, the one person who's really responsible for all of us being here is 185 years ago on February 12th, 1639, a gentleman, or a chief in Santawa, had the twig and stick ceremony where he put a piece of a twig in a ground and he handed it to the founding fathers and say, "This is my symbol for giving this community to you." There is not a plaque or a monument or a statue to that gentleman. And I think we're in a day and age where the Native Americans in this country need to be acknowledged. And I would love this committee, in addition to a museum, to talk about a statue to a gentleman, to a chief, a very brave man that made this community what it is today. Thank you very much. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Lofthouse. Again, Dan Gurman. So we've been talking about this for quite a while. As you know, Milford was established in 1639. One of the oldest towns in Connecticut, actually the sixth oldest town in Connecticut. It's one of the oldest towns in the country, so we have a lot of history here. And I see generations. I've been here a long time. Mark's been here a long time. As some of you have been around a long time, we've seen generations go by, and so does the artifacts and the stuff that they collected or have had over the years. They just kind of disappear, and they sell it or throw it away or whatever. But there's a lot of history being lost over the years, and it'd be nice to form this committee through the city so we can start collecting some of this stuff, and then eventually find a location, and then eventually open that museum. Many towns around the state of Connecticut have museums, and they're quite fascinating, but I don't think a lot of them have the history that we have right here in Milford. So Mark explained a lot of things and a lot of really cool history, and there's just tons of it. But it'd be nice to start capturing some of that stuff and have a place for people to go to donate stuff, because there is no place to donate, so that I know of. And I don't know if anybody's tried to do this before. Maybe they have, but it'd be nice to get some people that are really interested and get this thing kicked off. So with that said, thank you, Board of Aldermen. Thank you, Mayor, for your time. Thank you.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention that one person in our town who built the swimming pool off of Gulf Street was Miss McCann, my chemistry teacher. And so this is most of the people here tonight to talk about the swimming pool, and that pool wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Mr. and Mrs. McCann and her daughter Lauren, who here, and I certainly support her. And again, another brave woman in the city of Milford. I believe your mom was in the Olympics, was she not?
Olympic trials.
The Olympic in Australia or something? No. Okay, I had the whole story wrong. It was a rumor in high school. So I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Hello, my name is Lauren McCann. I live at 18 Point Lookout in Milford. I am with the Aquajet Swim Club, which is a 501c3 organization. We have been serving the Milford community at the natatorium for over 37 years. My mother, Ann McCann, who was 12th at the Olympic trials back in her day, began the Milford Swim Club in 1972. It later became the Aquajet Swim Club. Some of you may have heard of her or even knew her. She was the chemistry teacher at Milford High School from 1968 until it closed in 1983. So many people knew her either as the tough but fair chemistry teacher and or the determined swim coach. It was because of her love of swimming and desire to share that love with the community that she and my father built the pool, the McCann Natatorium, with their own personal money and donated it to the Milford Academy. They did not plan on paying the yearly pool operational costs, but when the school did not keep their end of the contract, my parents chose to do their best to keep the pool open to all by paying the operational costs of $80,000 to $100,000 a year out of their pocket for 12 years. When the school went bankrupt in 1999, the city chose to purchase all the school property. This is when the city required that the Aquajet Swim Club rent pool time from their own pool. As a result, a 5-year renewable operating pool agreement came into being. This past June, the city decided against renewing the operational agreement with the Aquajets. In fact, the Recreation Department has indicated that they want to take over the adult fitness swim hours and run it for themselves. Many of our fitness swimmers have been with us since 1987, and we built this list of swimmers for over the last 37 years. It is not right that the Recreation Department just come in and take it away from us. It may be legal, but it doesn't make it right. We have even offered to share the adult fitness swim hours with the Recreation Department, but to no avail. We recognize that the McCann Natatorium has not been our pool since 1999. However, it is the home of the Aquajet Swim Club, which serves the whole community through adult fitness swim, one-on-one lessons, and through the competitive swim team. We also recognize that an increase in rent is necessary. However, the Recreation Department has matched pricing with another competitive team in Orange, ARAC, at $31 an hour. They have over 150 swimmers. We do not. We only have approximately 30 competitive swimmers. Therefore, the increase in hourly rent should be in proportion to the number of competitive swimmers and not in comparison with another program. The Aquajet Swim Club is willing to increase the hourly rent with fair price, decrease the number of pool usage hours, allowing for the Recreation Department to have more programs, some of which can also be implemented at the Foreign High School pool. We are seeking an updated operation agreement, not a facility use license. We are trying to protect a legacy that has been smoothly serving the Milford community for over 50 years, 37 of which have been at the McCann Natatorium. We are respectfully and emphatically asking that the Board of Aldermen please help us preserve this legacy and help us to continue to serve our community. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Good evening, and thank you for letting me be here. My name is Albert Ruggiero. I live in 22 Vermont Avenue, Milford. I moved to Milford 40 years ago, and I've always been very grateful for that. I've been to most every city and town in the state, and they're all so charming, but nobody has what Milford has. Nobody has the camaraderie, the history, and the joy of living in Milford. So with that said, I'm here tonight not to make a long speech, but to show my conviction and to try to illustrate why Lauren McCann should remain as the principal operator of the McCann Natatorium. I've been going there many years, often 7 times a day. I've never seen anyone so dedicated as Lauren. I've never seen anyone so responsible and administratively capable. And here's the thing. She has, in private to me, suggested some elements of a program she'd like to see inaugurated with the pool. She's never been given the opportunity to present that program. I understand rates go up and costs go up, of course. But I believe, and she is convinced, that if she is allowed to implement her program, and I wish someone would hear it, and give her a few months to at least try it, we can bring in more revenue for the city. You could not possibly pay someone to do what Lauren does. They want to shut the pool hours in the morning, 6 o'clock to 7:15. Well, a great many people, 10 at a time, come in the morning at that hour before their work. You're going to cut them out, and you're going to cut out the good that Lauren is doing with them. It's a wonderful place. It's a jewel in the crown of Milford, and I wish you folks would take the time to hear Lauren out. Give her time to implement what she can do, and she will make this pool something you all can be proud of. But more than that, she will make this pool a template for all such pools in the state. I know this, I'm convinced of this, I know this girl, and I wish you would listen to her. Thank you very much.
Hello, good evening. I'm Kristen Jabanowski.
My name is Mark Dixon, and we both work at the NOAA Fisheries Lab here in town.
On 212 Rogers Avenue, and we're here to invite the mayor, all the aldermen, and the whole community of Milford. We're so excited to invite you all to our annual open house that's coming up on Saturday, September 21st from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
The open house is an opportunity for anyone in the community and the region to come to the lab, to understand and get a better sense of the research that we do there. The lab's been in town for over 90 years. Our lab founder is in the Milford Hall of Fame, Victor Lusanoff. He did some of the most instrumental work early on to develop shellfish farming that is now used all around the world. I want to thank Mark and Dan for being our straight men, setting us up here, talking about oysters. And actually, the first research vessel we had was named after Shang Wheeler, duck carver, who was also in the Milford Hall of Fame. So it's an opportunity for anyone in the community to come visit the lab, speak with researchers, see the work we do. It's appropriate for all ages and all levels of interest, totally free. There's parking on site. And I just think it's a real nice thing for people to do, and we've been doing it for many, many years, and every year we hear from someone who's visiting, I've lived here my whole life, I never know what you've done. So as long as we hear that, we'll keep having open houses and inviting the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Liz Kennard, 16 Reed Street. First of all, I'd like to join the mayor in congratulating the U12 softball team. And I'd like to point out that Alderman Bevan was at one time a softball coach of mine. But I'm here to talk about swimming. I believe in swimming since I first learned to swim at the foot of Point Beach Drive in Long Island Sound. It was reinforced when I taught 4th grade, and we had a citywide program that took all 4th graders to Foreign High School to learn to swim. And finally, it was reinforced when I spent some time as the assistant girls swim coach at Milford High School. As you can see, I've dated myself. But I know that swimming benefits from old to young, and the strong, and for those who are trying to build their strength. Milford is lucky, lucky, to have the benefit of the largesse of Anne and John McCann, to have a facility like the natatorium, which served, as Lauren has outlined, young swimmers, novice swimmers, budding competitors, and aging athletes like me. I urge the board to consider the long history of this relationship, the value of all of the Aquajet's programs to the citizens that you serve. I am personally very concerned about the 6 a.m. time slot, which works perfectly 3 times a week for those who cannot swim at any time during the day. As I understand it, there have been proposals and compromises. Please exercise your due diligence as you consider preserving the Aquajet's Swim Club as it is. Thank you very much.
Hello, good evening, Mayor D'Antasio, Board of Aldermen. My name is Abigail Bernstein, resident of 519 West River Street. I'm also on the city's Conservation Commission. Thank you for the appointment, Mayor. I'm here in response to an article published in the Milford Mirror last month detailing plans for the city's 701 North Street property. This property was purchased in 2016 for roughly $1.6 million, 1.08 million of which were from municipally dedicated open space funds. It's my understanding that because of this, the property is an open space, and the plans detailed in the article call for housing and a mini golf course. These uses are not generally what's accepted as an open space. And as a recent graduate from UConn with a degree in environmental science, and I currently work for a watershed in East Haddam, working in water conservation and land preservation, it's no secret that I value open space, especially in a city like Milford that has limited open space. And I'm worried that if these plans come to fruition, one, that we'd lose a lovely property that's beneficial to the city, and two, that a precedent would be set
that Milford does not value its open space. As a young person in the community, this is absolutely not something that, it's non-negotiable for me. I really think that these open spaces are invaluable, and everyone in Milford deserves to have as many of these properties as possible. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Joseph Erdos. I live at 50 Tippy Road, Milford, Connecticut, and I've been a Milford resident for 35 years. And I just am here in support of Ms. McCann, and I am actually a physician. I work at the VA hospital. You might see me on the road. I ride my bike from my house to West Haven, then ride it back. And I've been doing that for 35 years. So actually, Milford is a jewel, and we have so many things that is wonderful. I just want to say, it's nice to have a softball team, baseball team, all that stuff, but exercise is a lifelong process, and exercise actually happens when you can do it as you get older. And I, been in Aquajet for 35 years now, sometimes many days a week, sometimes not, sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. And I just think kind of structurally changing that when we're faced with a huge obesity epidemic, childhood obesity, adults having issues, being overweight, and there's huge amounts of evidence that comes out that exercise really prevents cognitive decline. So I see Lauren in the morning when I get there, and to kind of do the math and to actually say how would the rec program take that time slot over and make it work at an efficient rate, I don't know how that would be possible. So I really don't think it's a good idea to change something that always works, has been working for such a long time. Can you tweak it? Yes. A radical change, I don't know if it's a good idea. So thank you for listening to me.
Good evening. My name is Ed Bonessi, 29 Dixon Street. Lots of familiar faces here tonight, and I am also here to support Lauren McCann and stand up for the Aquajet program that her and her family have built a legacy throughout the years. I was not an Aquajet growing up. I was on Iraq growing up, but I enjoy using the pool many times a week. I'm a school teacher, so for me, the early time slot is the only time of the day that I really have available in my day to go swim, and I don't think that without Lauren's dedication, that would be possible for me. I teach at a high school, but the pool is unavailable for me to use at the high school because there's no lifeguard, there's rules with the Board of Ed against people being in the pool by themselves, so the McCann Natatorium has been a rock for many years. I used to work the rec department as a lifeguard, teaching swim lessons for many years. So I have a bit of experience seeing that side of things as well, and I don't think that it would run as smoothly without Lauren's dedication. And I think that if changes are to be made, which sometimes changes need to be made, I think that she should be given, ultimate consideration. Thank you.
Two minutes, no verbosity. Mike Copeland, I served as a lieutenant in the Army in Thailand in '67. If it wasn't for the pool, for many of us veterans, we would not get exercise, and the members of the city, who we're very grateful to for maintaining in a fantastic condition this magnificent pool given by the McCanns. Thank you. I salute you.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? Seeing none? Oh, that's all right.
My name is Lamont Thomas. I'm at 40 Elm Street, Milford. When I came to Milford about 20 years ago, one of my fondest friends, Edwige Cooper, with whom I've taught Qigong, told me she swims. I said, Edwige, what's going on? She said, I think you're going to really like it. And I began probably 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And as I age, I'm finding one of the best opportunities to exercise and feel some power is in the pool. And I would invite you, every one of you, I think Lauren would probably open up her swimming pool tomorrow morning or another morning, put your bathing suits on, and just give it a shot. It's a wonderful opportunity. It's a gem. It's a gem in this city. And I hope that you support Ann McCann and John McCann. John's 90 years old this weekend. They're having a celebration at the pool. Ann was still alive when I began swimming, and I was not swimming very well. And Ann said, Lamont, just relax. And I think that's what you can do in a pool. Thank you.
Good evening, Scott Ferzan, 24 Boris Lane, Milford, Connecticut. Also here to support the Aquajet Swim Club in its current form. My son is a current member. I have participated in the fitness swim myself. And if I may, I think there may be others who are maybe nervous to stand up and speak, but if I could ask those here to support the Aquajets, maybe to stand if you care not so much to speak. I think there are probably many other that are putting their children to bed at this hour, but I think this speaks volumes for the community's interest in maintaining the Aquajets Swim Club and its current agreement with the Rec Department and the City of Milford in its current form. Thank you very much.
I'm Ray Abadilla, 680 Boston Post Road. Since we were asked to stand up, I decided to come. We lived here in Milford for 8 years. I'm an immigrant, and since coming here to the United States, I lived in 5 different towns, and it's only here in Milford that we found very welcomed. And even in the Philippines, we don't feel the generosity or the love that you get here in Milford. So I'm really grateful that our son, who is 6 years old, is able to go to the Aquajets. He just started today with the mini jets. And with the legacy that Milford have, I was telling my wife that it's truly built with the people who love the town. They do it with grateful heart and without any asking for more in return. So I support the Aquajets and Lauren McCann. So I hope you can support her too. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jigyansh Gupta, and I live at 96 Acorn Lane. I'm 12 years old, and I've been swimming at the McCann Natatorium for 7 years. And during those 7 years, I've progressed a lot, and I've been to other pools, practiced there, done meets there, done competitions there, and I've seen that this is one of the cleanest pools that I've ever been to. This pool helped me exercise, this pool helped me benefit, and helped me become a good swimmer. So I support the Aquajets.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Alderman. My name is Clint LaPlante, 1184 New Haven Avenue, Milford. This is my daughter, Arwen LaPlante. Say it. Oh, okay. She is legal age. She lives in the 1184 New Haven Avenue. I am a lay minister, a Christian minister here in town, and I work with a lot of different programs out there. And I see a great need, and I'm sure you do too, of our young people. Our young people are in crisis in this country and in our state, and we even have some problems here in our city. We are very fortunate in Milford, but we do have some problems. And I would like to say, though, this is a little different, not quite swimming. I'm not a swimmer from the Aquajets, but what Lauren McCann does for the young people in this community is amazing. And my daughter is one of them. She has been with the program for 5 years now. And through the role model, through the mentoring from Lauren McCann, my daughter has really grown into quite a swimmer, a competitive swimmer. She's now a lifeguard. She works also at the YMCA, and she does private lessons at the natatorium. And I have to say that though there's a lot of programs out there, the programs that I see that are most successful are the ones who have the mentors, the role models, the people who are there for the students. And Lauren McCann, like her mother, has always been there for their students. They have put their heart and soul into this program, and I encourage you to take it into consideration and to do whatever you can to keep this program alive, because the young people, as well as the seniors, the veterans, and everyone who has spoken here this evening, we need this. We need it. I thank you for your time.
Anyone else wishing to address the board can do this at this time. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda is item number 3, consideration of minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Aldermen. Alderman Pacelli.
Consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Aldermen held on August 5th, 2024.
A motion and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item number 4, consideration of minutes of the special organizational meeting. There is none. Agenda item number 5, Chairman's report and recommendations. I have a letter here from the Chairman of the Pension and Retirement Board. Dear Mr. Vitro, I would like to thank the Board of Aldermen and the Pension Board for approving a 4% cost of living adjustment for the Milford pension recipients. The fairness shown to Milford employees by the city has always been one of positive things about serving the citizens of Milford. Again, I appreciate the consideration shown. Sincerely, Salvatore Stingo, Head Librarian Retired, and Gregory Kimmel, Chairman of the Pension and Retirement Board. That's all I have for this evening. Mr. Chairman's report, the Mayor's report. Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank, first and foremost, the Milford Oyster Festival Committee for another successful Oyster Fest, the 50th anniversary. The weather was beautiful. We really were fortunate for the weather because the next day it rained. So that was great. We had a great turnout, and a lot of the nonprofits depend on the Oyster Fest. It puts a lot of money back into our community. So I just want to thank them for all their hard work. The City of Milford will be hosting the September 11th Remembrance event on Wednesday here at City Hall at the 9/11 Memorial at 8:30 a.m. And we will remember and always remember the Milford residents who lost their lives during that tragic event on September 11th. Michael Miller, Seth Morris, and Avnish Patel. And I encourage all the community, if you have the time, to please attend. It means a lot to the families and to the community. As we end summer and transition into the fall, the Rotary Pavilion at Fowler Park will be very active. We have a lot of events coming up. The Milford Irish Heritage Society's Irish Festival will take place this weekend, and that's usually a big success, big turnout. I will also be attending, followed by the Devon Rotary's Oktoberfest the following weekend, September 20th and September 21st. On September 28th, the Bridges Healthcare will host the annual Folks on Spokes Ride, which is a great event. These are great community events, and I look forward to seeing everyone there. This evening, we were joined by Noah Laboratory on Rogers Ave to discuss their upcoming open house. On Saturday, September 21st, I've had the privilege of being there several times. It is a huge education. It's important to our oyster industry here in Milford, which feeds our Oyster Festival. We actually purchased 30,000 oysters for the Milford Oyster Festival. So it's very important. So if you have an opportunity, I would encourage the members of the board to take advantage of that. They're conducting a world-class research, and the open house is a great first-hand look at some of the innovations developing in our own backyard. It continues to grow with innovation, so that's very important, and it's recognized nationally. So we are so fortunate to have them here in Milford. A few weeks ago, myself and the Director of Economic Development, Julie Nash, we launched a business listening tour. And we've attended Total Mortgage. That was the first visit, which was a great visit, especially now with there's trends in the market, there's changes. So we're hoping that people can afford to stay in their houses moving forward. And we've also visited the Milford Boat Works, which was our last tour, which was a great success as well. Great family-owned business here in Milford. It's passed through different families, multi-generational families, so we're so fortunate to have that type of business here in our community. So, you know, that's been going very, very great. It's a great success, and we have other businesses that we'll be visiting in the near future. I'm also proud to announce the appointment under the mayor's report for Corrine Edwards. I don't know if Corrine is here. Good evening, Corrine. Thank you for attending. Corrine lives, I believe, at DeMeo, to Mayo Drive, and she's going to be the tenant representative of the Milford Redevelopment and Housing Partnership. There was a typo in your agenda. Her term will expire November 30th, 2024, so I'd like to make that correction for the record. But Corinne is here. We appreciate you taking on this new role. If you would just be so patient to wait, we have some other announcements, and we'll have you join in with 2 other people to get sworn in by our city clerk. So thank you, and I respectfully request your consideration, Mr. Chairman and the members of the board, for items 8A through 8D on your agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next item on the agenda is agenda item number 7, unfinished business. There is none. Agenda item number 8, new business. Alderman Pacelli.
Agenda item 8A, pursuant to Article 2, Section 6 of the Charter of the City of Milford, Board of Aldermen approval is requested for the appointment of Suzanne DiBiase, 77 Lindy Street, to complete the unexpired term of Constable Shirley Serrano, effective immediately.
The
Chairman Vitro.
Alderman Morenin.
Hi, thank you, Chairman Vitro, through you to the mayor. First, I'd like to start off by saying that I'm pleased to see that the appointment is on the agenda as well as the subsequent appointment, because as was pointed out in the past through public comment, that it's a charter violation to have elected officials simultaneously appointed to a board and commission. So I want to note that in our packet, we have a letter from the chair of Chairman Drapp from the RTC that's dated May 3rd, and the RTC actually voted for these individuals to take these replacements as of April. And here we are in September, and now it's on the agenda. So I want to understand why the gap in time from April/May till September, that those individuals were still in those 2 capacities, and why we've had this delay before it's been presented to us.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Alderman Mulrennan. My understanding is that this was put forward during the course of time when we had a transition with the city clerk's office, and there was a delay, and that's why it's before you tonight.
So you're saying that because of the changeover from Karen Fortunati to Peter Smith, that took 4 months for this to come forward on our agenda?
My understanding is that there was an email sent to Karen, our city clerk, Karen Fortunati, requesting this, but the proper process is the email has to come to the mayor, and that was rectified, and that's why it's before you tonight.
Okay, I'm just, I'm a little troubled because initially Chairman Drapp came forward and made a point that Carrie Rowland needed to, vacate her appointment to Parks, Beach and Rec because she was our registrar, and that was expedited and took place. And now here we have a similar situation, and we have this gaps in the months, and it seems a rather unfair situation because it was known then that those individuals were in the same capacity that Carrie Rowland was in, and yet that was taken care of back in the earlier part of this year, and here we are well into September that this is now being taken care of. And so it's a point of discomfort for me. I'm pleased that it's here. I'm in complete support of the appointments. I've been waiting for the appointments, and I just wish there hadn't been a gap as there has been.
Thank you, Alderman Morenin. Any more discussion on the motion? Yes, Alderman. Yes. Thank you for introducing yourself.
I think I just want to point of clarification that I think the people that have been they're replacing has resigned prior to that vote taking place. So it's not like they were continuing to be at this position until we just appointing him today. So I think they resigned back in May, I guess. So I don't know exactly, but I think that we had a vacancy for the constables for about 3 months. So I just want to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Casey. Any more discussion on the motion?
Chairman Vitro, if I may, through you.
Alderman Mulrennan.
Just to address Alder Casey, and that may be so, and I understand that, but if a citizen of Milford was to look on our website and try to ask a constable in terms of wanting to provide a service, the website still had those individuals listed in those capacities. So I understand that, and I understand also, again, should have been aware at the same time that Carrie Rowland was, and that was taken care of, and this was not.
Any more discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Alderman Pacelli, agenda item 8B.
Agenda item 8B, pursuant to Article 2, Section 6 of the Charter of the City of Milford, Board of Aldermen approval is requested for the appointment of Pasquale Civitella, 746 East Broadway, to complete the unexpired term of Constable Eric Smith, effective immediately.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderman Beatty.
Yes, I support this position and the appointment, but I would like to request, and Madam Secretary, I'd like it to be in the minutes, this is an ongoing issue, that we receive a completed resume. And I say this in the spirit of thinking that Pasquale Civitella is a great candidate for this job, and we would know a little bit more about them and know why they were interested if this was filled out. And this is not a Republican administration issue. It has been an ongoing thing. We have made requests from the assistant to the mayor and at leadership meetings, and we have not been able to get this accomplished. We do not want to hold up any appointments, but they need to be filled out. Then we could welcome the people on board. If they don't have past experience, and it's just a good choice because they know them, then that should say in that little paragraph, I would like to do this, I haven't held a position, now I'm retired, and I think I can give back to the community for and tell her, and that would help us, and it would help us to help this administration. So, no more voting on pieces of information, or else it means that our approval doesn't matter. And I also want to reflect, I remember when Alderman Smith was uncomfortable approving somebody because there wasn't any information, and he didn't know how they would be qualified for the job. So it has nothing to do with mayoral appointments, all appointments. If you don't have the information, if the person needs help to fill out the resume, or maybe they don't have a resume, you can call them on the phone and write notes and have the assistant to the mayor give the Board of Aldermen the information they need. So, thank you. Could that be reflected in the minutes and on the public record? Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. At this time, will all of the newly appointed board and commission members come forward to be sworn in by our city clerk? Thank you. Congratulations once again to Suzanne DeBias and also Pasquale Civitelli. I'm sure you'll do a great job. Next item on the agenda, agenda item 8C, Alderman Pacelli.
Agenda item 8C, Board of Aldermen approval is hereby requested for the attached resolution regarding a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of up to $45 million for the costs associated with City of Milford general obligation refunding bonds.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in... Oh, Alderman Pacelli, sorry.
Thank you. Finance Director, from you, through you, Phil, to Finance Director Arodisi, would you be able to give us a brief explanation of why this request is here and what the benefit is for us to vote in favor of this item? Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Alderman Pacelli, I was pleasantly surprised that we are in communication with our financial advisor throughout each year, always looking at our existing bonds to see when there are opportunities to refund them or refinance them at lower interest rates. As you know, interest rates have gone up several years ago, but since June of 2024, rates in the market have come down about 50 to 100 basis points. And so based on the fact that the last refunding that the city did was in 2021, it's been about 3 years since we did the last refunding, there are bonds between 2014 and 2018 now with whose call dates are approaching, and we have an opportunity now to refund those outstanding bonds at lower rates, potentially saving the city approximately, the expected savings for gross savings is about $1.6 million. So we are in the process of preparing for our normal competitive sale, the annual bond sale for our general obligation refunding bonds in October. And there have been times during the past 10 or 11 years when we've tried to tie a refunding to the actual regular bond sale so that we could use the same official statement. It would save on some of the time and effort and some of the cost. And so I was very pleased that this opportunity arose. And due to the nature of the sale in October, we do ask respectfully that this resolution be approved so that we may proceed and do the regular bond sale and shortly thereafter the refunding. Thank you.
Follow-up question.
Alderman Pacelli.
Yeah, as a follow-up question, if nothing is done, what happens at the time of which I think you call the refunding? These must be refinanced at this point, or they don't have to be, and there's an opportunity to do it. Can you just explain that a little further?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman, Alderman Pacelli. Obviously, it's not, when we say it needs to be approved now, it's a timing issue. So if we want to take advantage of being able to refund these existing bonds, we need to have this approved, and we need to take all of the steps necessary between now and mid-October to be able to time the issuance to occur at the time we get our normal bond rating for the competitive issue in October, the official statement that's being published. In order to do all that, we would need to start proceeding very soon and act upon this. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just have some questions because I'm not completely understanding this. If no action is taken, there's nothing that's due or has to be done. This is just an opportunity to better our position, and if nothing is done, the existing bonds will stay at their current rate and or their term?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, that is correct. If no action is taken, The existing bonds remain the same, and will be paid off at the higher rate, and we will not save the 1.6 million. We would be paying the 1.6 million, if you will.
Okay, I think this will be my last follow-up. Has any thought been given to the current conditions of the interest rates versus the forecasting of the future rates so that consideration may be such that this is premature and not the appropriate time? Because I would assume if we refinance them in October and then we learn, again, I know there's some risk related to that, but we learn that rates have reduced another basis point, say 6 months later, 9 months later. There's a cost, I assume, associated with doing this again. Has any thought been given to holding off to potentially take advantage of the future rate environment versus the certainty of where we are today?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Alderman Baselli, yes, we have taken that into consideration. I think the key thing to remember is the call date. So the call date is approaching, and once you pass that, then you may not refund these existing bonds. So that call date is a hard deadline.
Okay, that's a different component. So either do it now or don't do it?
Do it now or don't do it, and then we would have to wait and look at other bonds and look at other call dates that may come up in the future, and we could lose this opportunity. By the same token, if rates were to go up, events can happen between now and the time of the issuance, and rates could turn, in which case, even though this resolution is approved, we would not proceed. Thank you.
I'm sorry, because I feel like I'm taking up all the time here. Can you explain the call date one more time? So the call date is now or soon, and then you had noted that if we miss that opportunity, there may be a future call date, or there may not be. Can you explain that?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the call date is unique to these bonds that we are looking at for this resolution. So once you pass that call date, you lose the opportunity on these existing set of principal and interest payments that are coming due over the next 10 years on these 2014, 15, and 18, 16 bonds, I believe that, and they're outlined in the resolution. We would lose that opportunity on these bonds, yes.
Okay, so I understand. This is the single opportunity for these particular bonds. The environment is such that if we do approve this on the date that you would refinance them, if the rates are still favorable, you would go forward, do this, save the city the money related to these bonds. If either we don't pass this or if the interest rates are not favorable, this does not happen. And then if the rates are better 6 to 8 months from now, irrelevant related to these bonds, because there is no opportunity related to these specific bonds to refinance them.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, that's correct.
Thank you very much.
Is there any more discussion on the motion? Alderman Federico.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the Finance Director. So just so I'm clear, the $45 million in this resolution, does that represent all the bonds in 2014, 2015, 2016, 2018? All the bonds that were issued in those years?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, they refer to issuances that we made in 2014, 2016, and 2018.
Okay. And do they all have the same call date, regardless of when they were issued?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, they all have the same call date.
What's the length of these bonds typically?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, Alderman Federico, the length of the bonds is 20 years, and the length of the refunding bonds that will replace the existing payments, that term will be less than the term of 20 years. So by law and by regulation, there's a rule that we cannot go beyond the existing maturity date of the bonds. So typically on these refundings, the term of the refunding bonds could be anywhere from 6 to 10 to 12 years, for example.
Okay, so they won't go beyond 20 years total?
They will not go beyond 20 years,
Okay.
correct.
And can you give us some insight, what were the interest rates of these existing bonds versus what rate you believe you can get in October?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Alderman Federico, the blended interest rate on these bonds is about 3.4%, and the expected blended interest rate on the refunding bonds right now is expected to be 2.8%. Thank you.
Okay, so the 1.6 million is based on, the remaining life of the bonds at the lower rate, and have you subtracted the cost of actually refunding the bonds? I'm sure you have, but I just want to know for the record.
Yes, that's correct. Okay. Through you, Mr. Chairman, the refunding bonds amortization is less than the existing amortization on these bonds, and that is primarily due to the lower interest rate.
Okay. Is there a fee? Like, I know when I refinance my house, I have to pay, closing costs and fees and stuff like that. Is that factored in?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, there are fees. It's factored in and taken out of the net proceeds. And as I mentioned earlier, the fact that we can time this with all of the work that's being done on the regular bond sale in October, all that work involved with the rating agencies, the official statement, et cetera, we do generate some savings on the cost of issuance by being fortunate enough to time it this way. It's a fortunate opportunity for us, for the city. It doesn't always work out this way. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry if I may, one more question. The 1.6 million savings, we're going to see that, a small portion of that each year until these bonds are finished?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Alderman Federico, yes, we will see a portion each year. Historically, on many of the sales, we try to, within the rules, of course, try to generate or apply as much as savings as we can to the current fiscal year and the upcoming fiscal year, if we can, if we may. And then the remainder would be spread out over the term of the refunding bonds.
So we'd see that in this fiscal year? We'd see some of that this?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Alderman Federico, yes, I anticipate that we would see savings in this fiscal year, hopefully a meaningful amount in the 26th year, and then the remainder spread out over the subsequent fiscal years.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any more discussion on the motion? Alderman Healy, I'm sorry.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the Finance Director. You're receiving this also third-party advice from our bonding agent representative, is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes. I work with our municipal bond advisor or financial advisor, and I've worked with this advisor over all of the past refundings and bond issuances that the city has done over the years, yes.
Okay. And one other question also to the Finance Director. Under Section 4 of the proposal on page 2, it talks about the appointment of an escrow agent. Would that be the same individual, or would that be someone else if that was required?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Alderman Healy, no, that would be a different party. That is usually it is a bank, and we've worked with U.S. Bank over the past several years.
So that would be U.S. Bank then going forward? That would be your recommendation?
Yes, I anticipate it would be U.S. Bank acting as the escrow agent.
Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion? Alderman Pacelli.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call for a 5-minute recess, please.
A 5-minute recess. Thank you. We're now back in session. Under agenda item 8B, is there any more discussion on the motion? Alderman Federico.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the Finance Director. I understand that time is of the essence, and I'll just go on record saying I will support the resolution. But I would like to ask if we, going forward, for financial matters like this is $45 million. It's pretty significant, and it would be really helpful to have those couple of data points and facts that you just gave me in advance. So, you know, a little explanation of why we're doing this, how much the savings are, the interest rates are going from X to Y. That would be really helpful so we can evaluate and validate and come to the meeting prepared, especially when here it is and we need to vote on it tonight. So any data that you could share like that ahead of time in the future would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion? Okay, thank you. Alderman Pacelli, agenda item 8D. Oh, we had such a mistake, forgot all about voting. We spend any more time on that motion? We're up for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Alderman Pacelli, agenda item 8D.
Agenda item 8D, Board of Aldermen approval is hereby requested for the attached resolution regarding Clean Water Fund financing for water pollution abatement facilities.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Alderman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have just a small, what I deem to be an amendment here, but if the director is here, if I could just ask a question on this.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Director. So if you could you just describe this resolution is designed to do what?
So it's an evaluation of our sanitary system in its entirety. We have a lot of I&I water getting into the system that's not supposed to be there, and there's multiple facets of studying it by smoke testing, which I know some people have heard, also checking manholes, things of that nature, doing a full analysis of the system. And the state's going to refund us 55% of that cost. It's hopefully going to make us a more efficient system. They're going to see where we're missing things or where things are getting into the system that shouldn't be in.
Okay, and so this resolution is designed to implement what you just described, which I think is described in the materials that immediately follow the resolution. In particular, the letter from, I think it's DEEP here, dated May 17th of 2024.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. That's all I had for the director. But following on that, I'd like to offer an
Any more discussion on the motion? No. Oh, you got, okay.
And then just following on what the director was talking about there, I wanted to offer an amendment here that would just add after the first sentence of the resolution, the first sentence is, be it resolved that it is in the best interest of the city of Milford to enter into contracts with the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, and then before the period add on for the sanitary sewer evaluation survey study, comma, as outlined in the DEEP letter dated May 17th, 2024, attached here too. And that's my offer of amendment, just to have the resolution kind of match the documentation that follows its purpose.
Second.
There's a motion for amendment on the floor and a second. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Alderman Pacelli.
Through you, Chairman Vitro, to City Attorney Bertram, from a legal perspective, hearing that an amendment to this resolution is requested. Before voting yes or no to that amendment, I'd just like to know whether you believe it changes the amendment in any negative way, or if in fact it's appropriate. and does limit the ability to enter into contracts within the requirements of what's needed in order to proceed with this matter. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, through you to Alderman Pacelli, I don't think the amendment has any negative impact. I think it just it modifies or specifies what it's for. As you'll note, this resolution, other than the title, is boilerplate, which the state is now requesting for participation in any state grants. So DEEP is following the boilerplate that other state entities are following. So I see no reason not to approve the amendment as proposed by Alderman Smith, because frankly that's what it's looking for. What the state is looking for is a legislative resolution from you all that the mayor, Director Saley, have authority to enter this contract in an official way.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Berger.
Any more discussion on the amendment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, the amendment passes unanimously.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Director. On the original motion, any more discussion on the original motion? As amended, thank you. No more discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 9, new business, not on the agenda, which may be introduced by 2/3 vote. There isn't any of that. We'll go on to agenda item number 10. Consideration of budget memo transfers, 15 and 16. Alderman Pacelli.
Agenda item 10A, consideration of budget memo transfers number 15 and number 16, Fund 1005 and 2812, fiscal year 2024.
Second. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Alderman Federico.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you to the Finance Director. Is this like a final cleanup for the last fiscal year?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Alderman Federico, yes, this is a final cleanup for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024, and we do not expect any more transfers related to 24. Thank you.
Thank you. And one more follow-up. Was there anything that surprised you?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Alderman Federico, no.
Okay.
To be honest, this did not surprise me.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Beatty.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairperson. And this is just for my own benefit. We ask ourselves this in caucus other years when we were leading this discussion. Why the deficits? Did we inadequately fund or miss something along the way that we can learn for the next budget session? And I was thinking particularly sewer, because we knew the sewer commission account, that is at capacity, et cetera, was in need of maintenance. There was a report during the year. Did we miss doing this adequately in the first place?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, Alderman Beatty, yes, I would tend to agree with you, especially with the larger amounts on the second part of the transfer. I would agree that it means that the departments need to think carefully as we go forward in future budget years to try to avoid having these shortages, especially at the last minute or after the close of the year.
And especially in ones that relate to infrastructure, such as sewer. It's not just...
Yes, in particular, there are accounts related to equipment supply and upkeep in public works, and as you said, wastewater.
Wastewater treatment.
Wastewater treatment, yes.
Because we find, and maybe that, I would like that to appear in the minutes to remind us so that we learn something and do it next year and pay attention to the wastewater treatment piece and the sewer with a particular view to whether we're budgeting adequately. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Alderman Pacelli, agenda item 11A.
Agenda item 11A, consideration of refunds in the amount of $26,944.13.
Made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I have a question.
Alderman Beatty.
Is there, maybe you can explain, number 15, the 12,000 seems hefty. These are questions we asked ourselves in other years, so again, it's not pertinent to this administration, but just why are there those 2 or 3 rather large refunds?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Alderman Beatty. Yeah, the larger ones are normally due to when there's one common reason, there's a certificate of correction from the assessor's office, and it's done after the fact that they had paid, so there's an overpayment that is due back to the taxpayer. That's one of the common reasons on the larger adjustments.
Maybe we could say that in the document, per certificate of correction or on appeal, so that it wouldn't look as if we're going outside a parameter. I don't know, a made-up parameter of 5,000 makes us look more closely. So per review process, there, maybe that could be a line underneath it. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion?
There's another one.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item number 12, reports of standing committees. Are there any reports from any of standing committees? Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 13, reports of special committees. Are there any reports from any special committees? I don't hear anybody saying anything about that. So I will entertain a motion to enter executive session to discuss items 14A, regarding 1201 Boston Post Road, regarding 1201 Boston Post Road, regarding 0 Old Gate Lane, and regarding 0 Old Gate Lane. Joining us in executive session will be the mayor, Tony Giantazio, the city attorney, John Burcham, and Marcus, our city tax assessor. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, if you could also include the finance director, please, in executive session.
And also the finance director, Peter Iridisi. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Did I hear a motion?
Yes.
And a second? Motion is made and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? We are now in executive session. We're back out of executive session. Alderman Pacelli.
Agenda item 14A, consideration of settlement of the Connecticut Post Mall Limited Partnership versus the City of Milford regarding 1201 Boston Post Road, map block parcel 89 81240A-A, regarding 1201 Boston Post Road, map 89 block 812 parcel 140A, regarding 0 Old Gate Lane, map 79 block 811 parcel 12A, regarding 0 Old Gate Lane, map 79 block 811 parcel 12B.
Motion was made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. I welcome a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.